This is episode 127. Welcome to Wellness in Every Season, the podcast where we explore the rich tapestry of wellness in all of its forms. I'm your host, Autumn Carter, a certified life coach turned wellness coach, as well as a certified parenting coach dedicated to empowering others to rediscover their identity in their current season of life. My goal is to help you thrive both as an individual and as a parent. Today, I have with me another wellness junkie. This is Udo Erasmus. And listening to him, I can tell that he's been a globetrotter a little bit. He has had quite a journey to get here. He has dealt with pesticide poisoning back in the 1980s. And for all you listeners out there, that's around when I was born. And he has learned how to manage it.
Nullify it,
Yeah,
erase it,
there you go.
kill it.
Through wellness practices, through mindful living, through health. And when this came into my email asking me if I would like to have him on my podcast, it was an immediate yes in a very giddy, girlish way. He works with human nature. We're going to be talking about that. And he has what he calls the 10 steps to whole health. I'm very curious to see how that correlates with my 8 dimensions of wellness. And he has been a lifelong learner about wellness, nature, food as medicine, and so much more. We're going to be talking about oils and fats, and I'm already nerding out, so I apologize ahead of time. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about your pesticide poisoning. It sounds like that's really the beginning of your journey, unless we need to go back further.
The beginning was I was born during the Second World War in Europe. And my parents came from Latvia and Estonia. I was born in Poland on the way through. And at the end of the war, I was 2.5 years old, and we were fleeing from the communists who were chasing us in tanks and trucks down dirt roads in horse-drawn hay wagons, mothers with young children, no military presence. And the Allies, which we like to think of as the good guys, they were using us refugees as target practice, shooting at us from planes. And so, needless to say, for a 2-year-old, that could be pretty intense. I remember never feeling safe, and I spent a lot of my time not feeling safe. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe, right? And not knowing what I could trust, because we got a different story every day, because in the chaos, you have to deal with things, and all the rules changed overnight. Don't go to the bathroom, go in your pants, that kind of stuff. And I remember feeling hungry, and I remember not knowing what I could trust. And we made it out. 6 years old, I'm listening to adults argue, and it was so intense. And it occurred to me, there must be a way that human beings can live in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. 6 years old, that's my driver. And then I got into science because I wanted to understand how everything works. Because if you're insecure, but you know how things work, they become predictable. And so I was a born science guy. I was always testing things, always trying to figure out stuff. And I got into science, then I got into biological sciences because I find living things fascinating and nature fascinating. And I wanted to know it on every level. And it wasn't for a job, it was for appreciation. And then I got into psychology, and then I got into medicine for a year because I wanted to know what health is, and they call it healthcare. And I found out that it's only about disease management. They don't even have a definition of health other than you're healthy when you're not sick, which is completely backwards. So I left medicine, went back into biochemistry and genetics, left university, got married. My marriage broke up. I wanted to kill something. I was really upset because it was supposed to be for life in my head. It's supposed to be for life. And I took a job as a pesticide sprayer and got poisoned in 1980 because I sprayed them super carelessly, even though I knew that the only reason we make pesticides is to kill living things, right? Either we poison their nervous system or we poison their respiration, their oxygen metabolism. And then I went to the doctor and said, what you got for pesticide poisoning? She said, nothing. Nice short conversation. And that's when the penny dropped for me. Oh, my health really is my responsibility. I had heard it before, but I'm on my own here. And so then I went into the research journals and looked at everything to do with health and nutrition. because your body is made out of food, and something you don't necessarily learn in school when you study nutrition. But 98 of the atoms in your body, according to some estimates, are removed and replaced every year. And what that means is that if your health goes down, all you need to do is raise your standards for food intake. And within 1 year, you can have rebuilt 98% of your body to a higher standard. That, by the way, is what healing is about. How you want to heal? Raise your standard. And then life will take care of everything else. The only place where you have responsibilities here, what you stuff into yourself, what you stuff into your mouth, and that needs to have all of the essential building blocks in optimal quantities in it, because when they land in your body, life knows how to build a body of optimum health. So that's the short version of it. And so I found out about the essential nutrients. There's 42 of them, 18 vitamins, 9 essential amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6, and they're defined very precisely. You can't make them from anything else in your body. You have to have them to live and be healthy. You have to bring them in from outside. That's the first part. The second part is if you don't bring enough in, your health will go down. You get deficiency symptoms. They're degenerative in nature, just means your body's falling apart gradually. They get worse with time, the symptoms. And if you don't get in enough long enough, you die. That's the second part. The third part is if you're going down because you're not getting enough, but you bring enough back in before you die, because death by definition is not reversible, right? So you got to do it before you die. Then all the problems that come from not getting enough are reversed, because life knows what to do, provided we take that responsibility here that I just talked about. Make sure they land in your body. Life knows how to build a body that works. And I got stuck on oils because that was the most confusing area. And it turns out that more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. More health benefits will come from making the oil change that your body needs from damaged oils or fried oils to oils that are actually made with health in mind, protected from light, oxygen, and heat, because oils, omega-3, 5 times more sensitive than omega-6, a lot more sensitive than monounsaturated and saturated fats, are the most sensitive of all of our essential nutrients. They need the most care, and we actually give them the least. And then I got into, oh my God, I can't get healthy on damaged oils, and we should make them with health in mind. And I have farm background. We tinker with stuff. I knew what the issues were, so we developed a very tight production system from scratch. Doesn't come custom made. We had to get engineers to design the machinery so that the oils are not damaged by light, by oxygen, or by heat from the time they're in the seed to the time they're through all the pressing and filtering and filling till they're in a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the factory, as well as in the store and in the home. And then you use those oils not for frying. You add them to foods after they come off any heat source.
Is that what's
And
behind you? Those
over
bottles?
here. Yeah.
Okay. Can you show us it close up? Show us that light
Let's see.
of your chest.
Oh boy. Here we go.
369.
Called Udo's oil, omega-3, 6, 9 blend. So it's a blend of 9 oils. And there's a reason for that. We started with flaxseed oil. I developed flaxseed oil in 1986 because I found out 99% of the population does not get enough omega-3 for optimum health. 99%. It's like everybody. And I thought, oh my God, they're a nightmare to work with because they're 5 times more sensitive than the other oils. I said, okay, if we could bring back the omega-3s that are too low in almost everybody's diet, oh my God, we could help almost everybody. And because they're essential, there have to be some problems that come from not getting enough. I don't know what those problems are because the research hadn't been done, but I understood what essential means. And so we started making flax oil, richest source of omega-3 that's available to us, and started seeing results almost immediately. Skin became nice, energy levels went up, people recovered quicker, people slept better. But there's a problem with flaxseed oil, and that is that it has a lot of omega-3, not enough omega-6. We mostly get too much omega-6, and not enough omega-3. Flax oil is the only oil that can actually make you omega-6 deficient. All the other oils can make you omega-3 deficient. And I became omega-6 deficient on flax oil because they compete in the body, omega-3 and 6. They use the same enzyme system to get converted into what we call derivatives. When you get enough omega-3 and omega-6 plant-based, your body can make EPA and DHA that you find in fish oils. Your body can make that, but only if the ratio is right. Because if you get a ton of omega-6 and very little omega-3, then the sixes crowd out the threes because they're using the same system to be converted into all kinds of hormone-like regulating molecules. They play roles in every cell in your body, every moment of every day, 24/7, lifelong. Super important. And only those two essential ones that make
But
these
they do
hormones.
okay together in the bottle and for consumption?
Yeah, the issue is the ratio has to be right. If you have 10 times more omega-6 than omega-3, then the omega-3 is going to be crowded out from the conversion system.
Sure.
Or if you had 4 times more omega-3 than omega-6, like in flax oil, then the omega-6s get crowded out from the conversion system. So I used flax oil as my only source of fat because I wanted to see where the ratio was, because I knew that they both use the same system. And within a few months, I had dry eyes, skipped heartbeats, arthritis-like pain in my finger joints, and thin, papery skin. Classic omega-6 deficiency symptoms. And so I fixed them by eating sunflower seeds that are very rich in omega-6 but have no omega-3 in them, so bring the balance back. I said, you know what? I'm trying to get people healthy. I don't want to do that with an oil that can actually hurt them. So then we said, let's make a blend. Let's get the ratio right. It's all organic. It's in glass. There's no pesticides in it. It's in a box so that no light can get through the glass and damage the oil. So we did everything right. A total labor of love with really high standards. And then you can use that forever and you'll never become deficient in either omega-6 or omega-3. So that's what we did.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Is there a correlation? 'Cause when you started talking about it, I'm like, I've seen older people have those symptoms. Is that old age or is
Yeah.
that a
What symptoms?
deficiency? With the
What symptoms?
papery skin, the dry eyes,
Okay. Dry skin, skipped heartbeats.
skipped heartbeats. Yeah.
Yeah, that can come from omega-6 deficiency, but there are other reasons you can get it because your heartbeat does not just depend on oils. It depends on magnesium too, and it depends on calcium too, and it depends on proteins too, and it depends on minerals and vitamins too.
Weight, how hard it's having to work. So if there's a lot of deep
Yeah,
fat.
what I would say is if your skin is dry, and that's more likely to happen in winter than in summer, and it's more likely to be noticeable in dry weather than in humid weather. But if your skin is dry and you need gunk on your skin, you're not getting enough of the right kind of oils. Because together, omega-3 and 6 form a barrier in the skin against the loss of moisture. And you end up with soft, smooth, velvety skin. But skin gets them last and loses them first because you can live with dry skin. But if your heart dried out, that wouldn't work. If your liver dried out, if your brain dried out, that wouldn't work. So they get priority on the oils. And when your skin is soft and velvety, you know that you've optimized your intake. That's a
That makes sense.
ballpark a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day. And we say mixed in food spread out over the course of the day. In winter, you need more than in summer because in winter, you burn quite a bit more of it for heat. And the omega-3s actually keep you warm in winter. If you're cold sensitive, you need omega-3s.
Good to know. And that actually brings the question. I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it for everybody else. So this is something, can you heat? Let me ask this in a stupid way so it makes more sense.
In a stupid way to make more sense.
In a non-educated way, because I already know the answer.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you cooking with this oil?
The emphasis in the sentence is on the can. Of course you can, but should.
I tried.
No, it helps, right? You can, but you shouldn't. But you can put it in hot soup after it comes off the heat. And you can put it on steamed vegetables. And you can put it in pasta sauce, which is hot, right? But you put it in, of course, it goes on anything. It's compatible with fruit, vegetables, starch, protein, right? But you put it in after it comes off the heat source. You do not ever want to take these really precious oils that are made with incredible care so that they take care of you and then dump them in a frying pan and turn them into smoke. Frying is the single worst thing we've ever done to our food if health is the goal. Because when you fry oils, you damage them by the simultaneous effects of light, oxygen, and heat all at the same time. Now, we should be keeping the oils cold, not frying them. We know that for ice cream, we keep ice cream cold and we ship steaks cold. But for some reason, the industry has never wanted to do that with oils. When we ship the oil more than 2 weeks in transit, it's shipped refrigerated. Like when it goes to Europe and Asia and Australia, it's shipped refrigerated. It's that sensitive. These are the most sensitive of all of our essential nutrients. They need the most care. We need to give them that care if we want them to keep us healthy. You hear in a lot of people these days are saying, don't use seed oils. I'm sure you've heard that. Have you heard that? And
Yep.
don't use omega-6s. That's what they say, because they're going to make you sick. You know where the problem comes from? I
I've heard it.
figured out 45 years ago, all the people who say that, not a single one of those people has ever talked to me. And I'm not hiding when it comes to oils. They have never talked to me. They just made it up in their head. And it goes like this. I read a study that said omega-6 is an essential nutrient. I gave you that definition before, right? Can't make it, got to have it, got to get it from outside. If you don't get enough long enough, you die. If you bring it back enough before you die, everything that comes from not getting enough is reversed. That's what essential means. And they've identified specific reactions in a body that require that nutrient, without which that reaction cannot take place. That's the definition. Next study I got says omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you. And I'm going, huh? What the hell is going on here? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say life made it essential for me, or God made it essential for me to take the oil so it could kill me with cancer, right? So my conclusion was they can't both be right. And to understand what's going on, I must be missing something. I need to look deeper. When I looked deeper, I got into how are oils made by industry. They want a shelf life. They don't care about the health issues. And they weren't known when the industry started either. They wanted a long shelf life because then you can make the oil wherever you are and sell it wherever I am. I
For
could sell it
cheap.
you get a big market, right?
Yeah.
Because so you could make the oil wherever you and I are. You could sell it in Johannesburg, and you could sell it in Sydney, Australia, and you could sell it in Berlin, and you could sell it in Moscow, and you could sell it in Beijing, and you could sell it in Buenos Aires, and you could sell it in Chicago. Right? So you literally have a world market if you can get a long shelf life. So to get the long shelf life, they figured it out. You take this very sensitive oil, you treat it with a very corrosive base called sodium hydroxide. Then you treat it with a very corrosive acid called phosphoric acid. Then you bleach the colors out of it because the colors absorb light and the light can then damage the oil molecules. So you got to bleach the oil with bleaching clays. Now it goes rancid and smells bad. So you have to deodorize it or de-stinkerize it. And to do that, you have to heat the oil to frying temperature for half an hour. In other words, all of those colorless, odorless, tasteless oils that you get in plastic bottles on the shelf in every store pretty much that sells food, those oils have been fried for 30 minutes to get rid of the bad taste. And in that process, 0.5 to 1% of the molecules are damaged. They change from something that exists in nature that is good for health. They're twisted, or they're broken, or they're cyclized, or they're linked together in different ways, or they're cross-linked. And so you're changing the molecules into something that never existed in nature, that therefore life never made a breakdown program for. So 0.5 to 1%. So now I have a question. So I called them and I said, why do you do this when it does damage to the oil? And the guy they put on the line said, we do it because one of the reasons we can get rid of half of the pesticides in the oil. At that point, I didn't even know there were pesticides in oils, right? Because this is news to me. I'm just learning, right? So I said to him, why don't you start with organically grown seeds? Because then you don't have a pesticide problem. And then you don't have to fry the oil before it goes in the bottle. Long silence at the other end of the phone. I don't know, maybe it was 3 seconds, but it seemed like 3 hours. It was all long silence. And I didn't say anything. I was just waiting for his answer. And when he got back to me, he was like agitated. Oh, he was ticked off. He said, you know what your problem is? The oil is only 1% damaged. It's 99% good. And if you got 99% on an exam, you'd damn happy, wouldn't you? No, maybe I'm overreacting. It's only 1%. So I have a fallback. You know the saying?
Science.
When in doubt, Do the math.
Find it out?
Yeah, do the math. That's just like when in doubt, do the math. It's a saying in science because numbers don't lie. It's quantitative, so you know what you got. So I said, okay, I have a tablespoon of an oil and it's 1% damaged. How many damaged oil molecules am I going to find in that tablespoon of 1% damaged oil? And now I want you to guess because you'll see why that's important because you don't have a basis for making the guess.
You're on here, it's almost all of it.
No, it's only 1%. So I'm asking for a number.
I don't know.
So, and there's a way to figure that out. But
Oh,
most
good.
people, including all of your listeners,
That math.
you may not have that background either. Because if you don't know how to do the math, there's a formula for it. Then it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you didn't learn that formula, and most people didn't because they never learned that particular part of the science. But make a guess anyway. A tablespoon of oil, how many damaged molecules in that oil if it's 1% damaged?
Would I need to know how many molecules were in the oil to begin with?
That's the way you would figure out an accurate answer, yes. But you don't know. That's why you have to guess, right?
No.
Okay, so you said 1,000. Okay. See, because the issue is we don't know how big molecules are. And we don't know how many molecules are in a tablespoon of oil. But with certain amount, when you know what the molecular weights of atoms are, then you figure out what is the molecular weight of a molecule. And then you can figure out, and that actually it's called Avogadro's number. And it says that the weight in grams of a molecule has a very specific number of molecules in it. And it's called Avogadro's number. So you said 1,000, you don't know that. And most of your listeners and viewers don't know that. So you said 1,000 has 3 zeros, right? So would you like to know the actual number?
Of course.
It's a 6 followed by 19 zeros.
Wow.
So you said 1,000 and the actual number of damaged molecules in a tablespoon of 1% damaged oil is 60 quintillion damaged molecules.
I've never heard of that number before.
No. And how does it go? It goes 1,000, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion. So we're talking 60 quintillion molecules,
Yeah, I've heard
19.
quadrillion, but not
Yeah.
quintillion.
So your estimate and the estimate of most of the people who would listen or watch this
Would be
would
low.
be in that I have never had anybody who didn't know that math get any closer than 1,000,000,000 times too low in their estimate. The reason why I'm saying that, so I have another story, right? Okay, you're going to fly home for the holidays and you're at the airport and you got your boarding pass and you're about ready to board and there's a tap on your shoulders and you turn around and there's a person there that you know can only tell the truth, Mr. Truth Teller, right? And he said, oh, by the way, did you know that your chance of crashing and dying on your flight home was 60 quadrillion times higher than you thought it was? Would you get on the airplane? I was in Ireland at one point where I asked that question. I said, I would canoe back to Canada. And here's the thing why I say that. I'm not trying to scaremonger, but I do want to let you understand your estimate of what you're doing to yourself when every day you take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 tablespoons of a commercial oil that is 1% damaged, that has some pesticides in it, that has some plastic leached in it because it's in plastic bottles and oil swell plastic and plastic leaches into oil quicker than water. And that you maybe then fry, which will increase that number by another 3 to 6 times. And you do that every day for 30 years, in which case you'd have to multiply that number by 11,000, which is about how many days there are in 30 years. And when you know that you're giving every one of your 60 trillion cells more than 1,000,000 damaged, unnatural molecules that never existed in nature, for many of which your life never made a breakdown program. Do you think that could possibly not cause some harm to your body?
And how do we know
And
that
yet,
it is 1%? It might actually be worse.
it depends on what's in the oil, yes,
And
because
it's
if you
just
have more
going
omega-3s in the
yeah.
oil, then that number is going to be even higher. If you're going to fry it, then the number is going to triple to 6 times. In that 60 quintillion molecules, there's more than 1,000,000 damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells. And they're going to end up in your body, and wherever they go, they're going to interfere with what is supposed to be going on in that space. because they're supposed to be an intact, natural, essential molecule in that space. And you've now taken that's gone and now have an unnatural molecule that shouldn't be there. That creates toxicity and interferes with biochemical reactions. Disease, physical disease, always begins, if it has a physical origin, at the level of interactions between molecules. Electrons never get sick, atoms never get sick, molecules never get sick. It's at the level of interactions between molecules where disease begins. If you got the right molecules, no disease. If you got the wrong molecules interacting, you get symptoms of disease because of those abnormal interactions between molecules, right? Now, you can also make you sick by how you think, but I'm talking about physical causes of physical illness always happen at the level of molecules, right? And then if you pump a ton of these damaged molecules into your body every day, they have to cause interactions between molecules that eventually end up in disease.
And we're just talking
You,
about
you sh-
oil. We're not talking about sugar,
no, but what we are doing is we're
processed
talking
foods.
about
This processed food and oil.
food.
Everything else
Oil is the worst of the bunch. Sugar is
is.
second.
Okay.
Oil is the dumbest thing we've ever done to our food supply if health is our goal. And I say to people, you got a frying pan at home, everybody does, right? Pull it out, turn it upside down, hit yourself up the high side of the head with it, associate it with pain, and throw that stupid thing out. Go back to boiling in water, cooking in water, or if you're really smart, get really clean food and eat it raw. Because nature's mandate for any creature that eats, fresh, whole, raw, organic, local, and for humans and monkeys, probably mostly plant-based.
And in season.
Except except you can take seeds and nuts and you can bury them or store them over winter. So
I heard
local.
that apples, by the time we get them, they can be up to a year old. I was
Yeah,
hearing about
because they put them in warehouses. I grew up in fruit farming country, and they have packing houses. That's what they call them, and they put them in big bins, and they ship them out over the whole course of the year. So you could be getting last year's apples just before this year's apples become pickable, right? So whoever told you that is accurate. They could be fresher, but they could be as old as a year old. Will you lose nutrient value in that apple? Yeah, even if it doesn't rot, you will lose some nutrient value. There's oranges that shipped from Florida to Canada. That takes about 2 weeks. And some of those oranges have zero vitamin C in them. And oranges are famous as a source of vitamin C, right? They have it in when they're growing on the tree, but then you pick them off and there's no more vitamin C produced, right? And then they bounce around in a truck, and that's stressful for oranges, just like it would be for us, right? And in that process, more nutrients get used up. And then what you get in the end, then you boil them or you fry them or whatever else you do
you
to
juice,
them.
you don't keep the fiber.
Yeah. Yep. And in fact, when you juice vegetables, there is 4 times more nutrients in the pulp than in the juice, right? So they say, and fiber, the second worst thing is digestion. You got to replace the enzymes you destroyed, the probiotics you destroyed. You got to make sure you get lots of fiber. Fiber is antioxidant and anti-inflammatory and feeds the microbiome. And so super important to eat more vegetables, even if you're a meat eater, even if you're not going to quit completely, emphasize the plants. That steak you ate is made out of grass, and the milk you drink is made out of grass, and the cheese you eat is made out of grass. So there apparently are enough nutrients in grass to make these very high value foods. Maybe you should just eat the grass. Well, not quite, because cows' digestion is set up a little different than ours. But anyway, so the oil story.
And it
And
makes
then,
sense because if we look at oils do come in dark jars,
yeah,
the
some,
good oils,
yeah,
the ones that are higher quality. So
yeah,
that makes sense. And I have seen certain oils more in the health food stores that are
yeah.
stored in the refrigerated section.
Those are in plastic, but they should be in glass.
And so you said that flax seeds, which we do, we're a smoothie family. So it's
Yeah,
really funny when my kids are saying, I don't eat that vegetable. I was like, yeah, actually, you drink it.
yeah, yeah,
Whatever, kid. We do flax seeds, we do chia seeds,
yeah,
we snack on pumpkin seeds.
yeah.
What is the other one?
One for what?
So in your oil, you have 3
Oh,
essential oils.
flax for omega 3s.
Huh?
sunflower and sesame for omega-6.
Oh, sunflower, not pumpkin.
Oh, yeah, but pumpkin's good is a good source of omega-6 as well. And then there is rice germ and oat germ, that's for minor ingredients. And then there's evening primrose oil, that's for the polyphenols in it. But it also has GLA, which is an omega-6 derivative. And then there's coconut oil and soybean lecithin, GMO-free that we have to get in from Europe, and vitamin E. I think I got them all. 8,
Wow, that's a lot in there.
9 ingredients. And the whole idea was, because I became omega-6 deficient, let's get the omega-3 and 6 balance right. Let's get people off the damaged omega-6 oils. So we have omega-6s made with health in mind, along with omega-3s made with health in mind. We emphasize the omega-3s. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. And we do that because that's where we get the best results. Because I could do anything I wanted. I got to put it together, right? So we got the best results when the omega-3s were higher, because omega-3s are the highest energy molecule in nutrition. And did some studies with athletes. If we gave them a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day, mixed in food, spread out over the course of the day, of Udo's oil, and had them do their sport to exhaustion, they literally, in 30 days of taking a tablespoon per 50 of the oil, increased their performance to exhaustion in their sport by 40 to 60%.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Major. There's nothing you can do in practice that gets you that kind of results. But that's how powerful the omega-3s are. And most athletes don't pay attention to them, still don't, when you get the omega-3s. And then what happens is they have more stamina, so they can go longer before they're tired. They recover from fatigue quicker because the omega-3s help bring oxygen into the body and improve oxidation rate, and that improves recovery time. And the recovery is in about half the time, so that's pretty substantial. And then when they get injured, their injuries heal in a third to a half the time. And their skin becomes nice, they sleep better, they recover better. We had bodybuilders who went back to doing workouts they had done in their 30s, or in their 50s, they went back to workouts they had done in their 30s.
I'm sure
We had,
moms are over here, like, "Wait, I'll sleep better?"
yeah, oh
Not
yeah. And
just
not only that,
ath
super important for pregnancy, because the brain, humans have the biggest brain other than dolphins and whales, right? Humans have the biggest brain on the planet. The brain is very rich in omega-3 and omega-6 derivatives, both in about a 1-to-1 ratio. So when a woman gets pregnant, she's got to maintain her brain, and she's
and
got to
grow another.
build a whole new brain in her womb. If she doesn't have enough essential fatty acids, and 99% of them don't get enough omega-3s, the kid takes them out of her brain. And the reason for that is that nature says, mom's the past, kid's the future. If we have to, we will sacrifice the past to save the future. So the
And
kid
moms
gets,
continue doing that after.
yeah, the kid takes them from the mother's brain. The mother becomes depleted. Each child depletes her mother further. This is all research. Each child gets less than the previous child. And that's why, on average, if you measured the IQ of all of the oldest children in North America, they would have the highest IQ. And if you measured the IQ of all the youngest children, they would have the lowest IQ. Now, it's not 100% that way because there are other genetic factors. But if you do the total stats, consistent, because each child gets less than the previous child, and they're important for brain development, brain function, and intelligence. And in fact, there's research that shows that when you increase omega-3s and they're not damaged in your diet, you can increase IQ by 3 to 9 points. And the research on pregnancy, the researchers point out that women get 2 to 15 times more often than men depression, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, collagen, inflammatory, and autoimmune diseases. They say it's the depletion of essential fats during pregnancy that sets them up for these conditions in a way that men are never set up because they never get pregnant. Their suggestion is women need to make sure they get a reliable source of both essential fatty acids, and I'll add to it, in the right ratio, both made with health in mind, not damaged, not plasticized, not fried, and not with pesticides in it, both for their own health and for the health of their children.
So I have it in my prenatal. Talk to that. The women who
Wh-
are saying that are listening to and saying, "What's in my prenatal? I'm fine."
What's in your prenatal?
My DHA, what else is in there? The oils.
So it's
Almost every prenatal says that. Yes.
fish oil, EPA, and DHA. Okay.
Thank you.
The fish oil industry is lying to you. And they're doing it because if they said your body can convert the plant omega-3 alpha linolenic acid into fish oil omega-3, then a lot of people would say, why would I eat stinky fish oil when I can get it from flax? And what turns out to be the truth that they don't tell you is omega-3 and 6 are converted by the same enzyme system in all our cells. You get too much of one, it crowds the other. You get too much of the other, crowds the one, right? Nobody complains about inability to convert omega-6. Why not? Because we increased our intake, doubled, tripled, quadrupled, maybe even 10 times our intake of omega-6 over the past 150 years. And we've reduced our omega-3 intake to 1/6 of what people got in 18. Okay, so we've messed up the ratio. And the issue is not that the body can't convert. The issue is we're not getting enough, or we're not getting the ratio right in order for both of them to get converted into what they need to be converted in. That has super important functions in the body. And the fish oils are 5 times more sensitive to damage than the plant omega-3s, which is why fish oils give you those nasty burps, and which is why if you buy it in a bottle and you want to take it on a within days after you've opened the bottle, even when it's in the fridge, you can smell the rancidity. That's how
Mhm.
sensitive they are. Plus, the fish oils are now the dirtiest meat on the planet. The ocean has been our sewer for the last 200 years. Everything that goes downhill ends up in the ocean. In the ocean, if it's oil soluble, it works its way and concentrates up the food chain. And our fish oils have PCBs, dioxins, pesticides, and other gunk in it. To bring
Oh.
that down, that first surfaced probably 15 years ago. And then they were getting 1,300 parts per billion of PCBs and dioxins in oils, and they're super, super toxic. Birth defects, cancer, inflammation, all kinds of problems. And the researchers say there are no safe levels of these things. The government says, well, you got to be reasonable. They're in there, so let's set a limit. So they said, okay, you got to bring it down from 1,300 to 9. In order to do that, you have to cook the oil. You have to evaporate them off. That does more damage to the oil. So now the fish oils, there are somewhere between 300 and 400,000 times more processing damaged molecules than there are PCBs and dioxins in the oil. And those processing damaged molecules don't help you. And now the research, when you look at the review studies and you're not pushing fish oil, you say all the things that have been said about fish oil, about how good they are, none of them are true anymore. Used to be true 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Now they've done so much processing, they've neutralized their benefits. But the fish oil industry will not tell you that. And the people who sell you those products that contain them will not tell you. But it's a huge issue. So the point is that you're paying attention to oils during pregnancy. That's good, but get an oil that is made with health in mind. And if it's a plant-based oil made with health in mind, like what we do, your body will make the conversion, and you women make the conversion far more easily than men do. Women do EPA, men also EPA to 5 to 10%. Women do DHA from alpha linolenic acid, 5 to 10%. Men less than 1%. But men don't need to because they never get pregnant. They don't need as much oil. It also means women are smarter than men, and smart men know that, and really smart men acknowledge it. But it's true. It's true. And women process mentally better than men do. Always have. And part of it is because men are bigger and they can be brutish about it, and women have to negotiate because they're smaller, right? The fact that women convert the essential fatty acids, the omega-3 particularly, into the brain omega-3s is one of the reasons why women on average will be smarter than men. And then you would say smarter in some ways because they're not necessarily just as good with hammers and tongs, although they can learn that too. But smarter in terms of processing and correlating and synthesizing and interpreting. Women are very smart in that. And all the things you have to do when you have kids and you got to deal with all the details of child rearing, lots of details. Women are perfectly made for that. Both,
mask making,
yeah, yeah. Both,
multiting.
yeah, it's very cool. What else?
We
Oh,
missed talking about the 10 steps to whole health.
oh yeah, because this is oils is a whole topic. Health, total health is a whole other topic. The oils also help with bone strength. You build muscle faster, you hang on to them longer. They're good for vision. Some people get their hair color back. Obviously, I didn't, but I'm 82, so that's my excuse. And they make your hair and nails grow better. In fact, we wanted to sell the oil in hair salons because if they give their clients the oil, they have to come back 25% earlier for their next haircut because the hair grows faster. And they don't get the split ends and they don't get the nail splits and all of that. So there's a lot of things that happen. Elevate mood and lift depression. So there's a lot of good things that happen from the omega-3s that are the most often deficient essential nutrient in our time. That's a pretty good ending for that story. Okay, talking about total health, I got into digestion because the deal is, what's the next thing? What's the next least well addressed thing? Digestion. 'Cause everybody's got something. Either you're burping or you got gas or you got bloating or your stomach hurts or so there's lots of things because it's a super hardworking organ. You're taking foreign material that should never be in your body and you're putting it inside a space outside your body, inside your body, right? Because the inside of your digestive tract is actually outside your body. And you have to break it all down so that you only absorb the nutrients that you need. You don't absorb undigested food that would actually hurt you and could kill you, right? So what do you do there? Best thing to do is we cook our foods. That kills the probiotics that are on natural foods in nature, destroys the digestive enzymes that are part of raw food that if you chew them, do 60% of the digestion for you. We've gone away from fiber and we don't pay attention to all the herbs and spices that have super useful benefits in your digestive system. So I got into that and literally I take enzymes every day with food. If you cook the food, for sure you should do that. Otherwise, you'll put a load on your digestive system. And when that gets overloaded, that'll put a load on your immune system. And then your immune system is not free to do all its other jobs. And so you end up with problems caused by poor immune function. So if you cook them, you got to replace what you destroyed by doing that. Because remember, the mandate was fresh, whole, raw, or raw organic. That's how you get back to closer to raw. And the probiotics should start in your mouth. We swallow capsules. I would say open the capsules, put them in food, or brush your teeth with them because then they work their way through your whole digestive tract and they have benefits everywhere in your digestive tract. So then the next thing was, what's next? Greens. Everybody's supposed to eat their greens. Most people don't. So we made portable greens that taste good. A lot of greens don't taste that good. Portable greens that taste good. And then the next thing was, okay, what's next? And then it was like, I asked the question, what else affects health? And the answer came back, actually, everything affects health. So now then I get into it, and that's what I'm into now. Total health based in nature and human nature, or human nature as the teachable field. Now, why is that? Because here we are. We've been here for 200,000 years. We know more about our watches and our gadgets and our furniture than we know about ourselves. Now, why is that? Because if you want to get to know something, you got to spend time with it. Do you want to get to know a person? You spend time with it. You want to get to know the furniture? Sit on it, right? And how much time do we actually spend with ourselves?
We if
Being
we have that
quiet.
moment, we're on social media of some sort,
Yeah. And
texting
the
away.
point is, social media will get you everything except yourself. Google would get you everything except yourself. You want yourself. You want to know what you are. You want to know how incredibly beautiful and magnificent you are as a human being made out of dust, water, air, and a little bit of sunlight. You have to spend time sitting down, shutting up, leaving all your distractions outside, and just be present with yourself. Maybe you can follow your breathing. That might help. Or maybe you could just see how still can I get and how deep can I go into that still and how long can I hang out there and what am I going to discover, see, hear, feel, taste when I bring my focus into the space that my body occupies. And what you're going to find out, you actually have light in your head. If you get focused right with your focus in the middle of your head, you will see light in your head. You will hear music in the silence or a sound in the silence. You will feel love in your emptiness. You will feel sweetness in the blandness of your mouth. There's something there to sense. So sense it. And when you do that and you actually get good at it, because it takes a little practice, right? Because we're always going out, out, going in, we don't practice. So get good at going in. You'll get to a point where you feel so cared for that it's not about you anymore. And then you're free. Finally, you're finally free. Oh my God, I feel so cared for. Because life loves my body unconditionally, 24/7, empowers it, runs everything, asks for nothing back. And I think there's love. You want to be loved? Get in touch with the life that loves you. And then when that's okay, I'm taken care of. So now what should I do? Oh, there's nothing left to do but to help. Oh, so now I'm going to do what needs to be done, not because it's going to take care of me, but because it needs to be done. Or maybe I could even think of, gee, I wonder with me, given my talents and my experiences and my interests, what's the biggest splash for good I can make in the time and all of a sudden my life is really simple, just because it's not about me to getting myself taken care of anymore, because I've been taken care of the whole time I was in my mother's body, the whole time after I came out and got lost in the world. Something has taken perfect care of me through the war that I went through. The bullets were flying and everything was all over the map. Something took perfect care of me. Gee, maybe that would be a good friend to have, really make friends with and really spend time with. And gee, maybe be grateful for. There's a whole nother life. And then you can go into that and then you can ask the question, who's hearing, who's seeing, who's feeling what I'm feeling? And you get to a place where there's an awareness. This is a peace that is a presence that is so calm, that is not affected by any drama, trauma, circumstance, change, crisis, loss, grief, not affected. And that love, by the way, it's a flow through the body of solar energy, a fraction of solar energy. That is unconditional love, unconditional, empowering love, never affected. Only thing that ever happens is our focus gets drawn away from them. Then we don't notice, then we don't feel them. They're always there. So if anytime we come back, they're always there. How do I know that? I've been doing it for over 50 years, every day. I has not been a single day when the peace was not there and the love was not there. There's the cure for all the dramas and traumas and all the confusions that we have. Our foundation, and it is so satisfying. The purpose of life is in the experience of being present in our life. The shine of that love into the world, I call it inspired purpose. People looking for purpose, the purpose is already built into you, but you got to come home to read it. Once you come home and you feel cared for, finding purpose is not complicated. You just do what needs to be done. You help where you can. And the deeper you go, the more you realize how much talent you have to help in how many different ways. So that's number 3. Number 4 is the physical body, and that's food and fitness and digestion and all the things that most people talk about when they talk about health. Number 5, I call it survival smarts or protective mind. That's about preempting safety, basically. So food, water, air, shelter, clothing, protection, right? Education, survival skills, right? That's the number 5. Number 6 is what I call habitual mind. Habitual mind is all the garbage you carry around in your head that maybe never had value, but doesn't have value anymore for sure. It would be just as well to dump. And that often includes your group memes. Around here, we believe, blah, 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 right? What would it say? Nothing you believe is true. Because if it was true, you would know. But it's because you don't know that you believe. So what do you believe in? Everything you believe is not true. And every group has its own set of beliefs. And every family, I call it the family neurosis. Whatever is the family neurosis is the family belief system. This is how we do things around here. And you hear that often. People say that, right? This is how we do things. This is what we expect of you. And some of it is just like completely arbitrary. And it doesn't add value, but we carry it around anyway just because it's habitual. So that's number 6. Number 7 is social group. And you know that social group affects your health. When we were kids, when I first came to Canada, we used to play soccer. And we were young, like I was 10. So we would kick the ball and miss the ball and kick somebody else in the shins. It happened. So, sometimes they do it on purpose in big sports, but we did it by accident because we were clumsy. But so you did that, and immediately somebody would just yell at the top of their voice, "You made me sick." So even way that early, we knew that other people can make us sick. And so then what do? Choose your friends to be people that empower you, give you space, don't impose on you, don't beat you up. People who treat you like a human being who's worthy of respect and space and cooperation and interaction. But that's basically like that. And then you got the number 8 is the natural environment. And we have a saying. There's a saying that if you poop in your nest, you will nest in your poop. That covers pretty much every environmental issue. You drop poisons in your environment, they're going to end up in your body because you eat part of your environment. So you got to look at that. And then number 9 is your connection to the big picture. Your body is a terminal condition in an infinite universe. And to be okay with that, right? Because you're not just the body, you're also part of all of that other stuff. And to be okay with that. So that would be whatever you call that, your God, your deity. But it's the same as the awareness in the core of your being. That's just your access point. Because that same core awareness is not limited by your body. You're a center point for it. So is every other place is a center point for it. It goes from there out to infinity. So you catch it on the outside, but you really get there from the inside. It's experiential. My view is always, it must be possible to see God and live. I want to know God. I don't want to believe in God. I want to know God. And maybe I was a little arrogant about it or strong about it because I went through a war, right? So I wanted it real, and it's possible. So that's number 9. And then number 10 is emotions. And emotions are a composite of the other 9. So everything you do, nature affects your emotions. And your emotions tend to be positive, which is you've set goals and they're celebratory and they're acknowledgments that your progress towards your set goals are going as well or as better as you planned or expected. And the negative emotions are an assessment that your progress is being thwarted. And then you crank up those emotions to try to break through whatever the obstacle is that's getting in your way.
That reminds me of Tony Robbins. When
I've,
he's starting things, he has the whole move around and he gets every
yeah, I don't do as much moving around. I have taken his courses. He's pretty good. The sitting still is his biggest problem, as I've heard him say, because he's a doer, but we're supposed to be human beings, not human doing. And because being is more important than doing, because you can be without doing, but you can't do without being. So being is your foundation. And if you don't spend time, we're going back to the stillness practice now. If you're not spending time in being, then you're living your life without foundation, because being is your foundation. That's where your peace and your love are. This is where your wholeness lives. This is where nothing that ever happens in the world can take that away from you. And to have that as a foundation, especially in times like these where everything's all over the map. And the only reason why everything is all over the map in politics and in religion and in human interaction is because as individuals, none of us are spending enough time connecting onto our foundation. That we all have in common. We all have to eat and we all have to sleep and we all have kids and we all worry about the future and we all want life to be good. So we have so much in common. But what we argue about has nothing to do with that. And it's all head trips, right?
How about when
But,
people argue and they're actually on the same page, but they're saying, "No, we're not on the
well,
same page." And you're like,
they're,
"No,
they're,
you're
they're
saying
on
the
the
same
same,
thing."
they're on the same page because they're on the same planet.
True.
But between Republicans and Democrats, what do they talk about? What do they fight each other about? They both use the same bathroom, right?
And
But
really,
they
at
don't
the end
talk
of the
about,
most people are in the middle.
yeah, most people are less political and more grounded than that because you change diapers and you cook food and you make beds and whatever it is, and you have a job that you're doing. It's whatever it is, you're doing things that are directly involved in human existence in physical form on the planet Earth. That's the grounded stuff. You build houses. You make sure that the light switches work. You change the light bulbs. You build shelves for your information that you need, right? Change your carpets once in a while. They changed all the pipes to all of my water. I'm in the middle of a construction zone right now. I got junk all over here and can't tell
Well,
from
it looks
here,
good
but
there.
yeah, I know. This is the only part that looks good in my house right now, right? But it's all practical stuff that needs to be done on a continuing basis because houses get old and wood gets old and pipes rust and toilets need to be replaced and bathtubs spring leaks. And there's always something to do to make the quality of the individual life better. And we have enough money and enough resources that we could do that for every person in the United States, in North America, and on this planet at nobody's expense. Nobody has to be left out. There's enough resources for 8 billion people, and we could be living excited, exalted, in peace, inspired, dancing and singing, grateful because life is that good. And we have the ability to do that. And then, oh no, just one more
My
thing.
air purifier just started freaking.
Oh, yeah. One more thing is each one of those 10 has a different nature, has a different function, needs a different kind of attention on a regular basis, goes off in a different way, and responds to a different kind of intervention. But if you want to be totally healthy, you have to give each one of those its due. And whenever you disconnect from it, something will show up that'll let you know. And when you reconnect, you get it back.
Sounds right.
That's it.
Tell us how to find you.
Okay, so I have a book called Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill. It's a very well-written book. In fact, I read it the other day. I said, wow, this guy really knew what he was talking about. I wrote it and then it's like, okay, I'm with it. I started reading it because I was doing a talk and it was like, wow, it's good stuff. I'm still impressed. So like years later. I'm writing one called Your Body Needs an Oil Change. That's in manuscript form, so that's coming. And then I'm working on the Total Health and Human Nature books. I've got about 10,000 pages of notes. I've been working on it for a long time. And I have a website that is udoerasmus. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel.
Oils.
The
Oil.
oils, you find them in a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the supplement section, in the health food stores. You can also find them on Amazon. But I always recommend the health food stores simply because they have them in the fridge.
Amazon does.
What Amazon does. And I like the idea of helping local people, supporting local businesses.
You're going to pick up the other health food things. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can get the enzymes and the probiotics as well.
Is there
And
an enzyme that you recommend?
I use one in Canada. It's called Urgent Care. And in the US, it's called Advanced Adult Enzyme Blend. It's made by a company called Flora. And it's the highest in protease. I use it when I get sore throats. I'll open a capsule in my mouth, swish it around everywhere, because the protease enzymes will digest the protein coat off viruses. So whenever you get virus infection, you can pick them off. And I'll swish it around my mouth, swallow it, so it goes right there where my throat is sore. And that soreness goes away in an hour. So I do that. And the probiotics I brush my teeth with in the morning and in the evening. I want them to start at the top, find their way through them. And the one I use there is called Super Bifido Plus. It's a high bifido that's particularly good for colon health. And I'm 82, and people as they get older tend to need more support with bifidobacteria. Has some acidophilus bacteria in it as well.
There's not drinking enough water is what I hear is the main cause for constipation.
Three things in constipation: not enough water, not enough fiber, or not enough oil. Because the oil will slow down the
Lubricate?
rate at which water leaves your body through your skin. So you need less water, but you need to have enough. And then protein will make you constipated. Protein has no fiber in it. Fiber, and especially the flax fiber. By the way, flax is a better seed, a health perspective, than the other one, chia, because it has lignans in it. Lignans have a ton of beautiful health effects that you don't have in chia seed. And You would need to grind it. You need to blend it in a blender or put it in a shake because the cover is very tough. And if you don't break it, then you won't get the nutrients. So yeah, so those three, more oil till your skin is soft and velvety, then you know that you've got the water barrier built properly. Then you need less water. Water, when you constipate it, more water is always going to be, because why is that? Because if you get dehydrated, your body will pull water from where it needs it least to where it needs it most. Well, where do you need it least? On the exit of your colon is where you need it least. That's why people get constipated. It's being pulled into the body because it's needed there. And then the fibers is the third part. The fiber, the flax fiber, the mucilage fiber, absorbs and holds water. And those are super good for bowel regularity. But if you don't drink enough water, then they can make you constipated. So you need to take those in a blender or a shake that already has lots of water in it. Yeah.
Thank you. We've
Okay.
covered, I think, all the topics. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And this is a longer episode, and that was on purpose. When we
Yeah.
started, I could tell that we were going to need the space.
If you want to go deeper into the big picture and the human nature stuff, we'll do another one.
Yeah, sounds great. Let us know if you guys want to hear it, because I'm always down for nerding out on stuff like this. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for being
All
on.
right.
Check out his website, check out his books, Oil in the health food section. And if you feel like you are struggling with balance, with your wellness, there are many different modalities on wellness. I really like the 8 dimensions.
To
So
yours.
it was originally 5 dimensions, and I got really into this when I learned about it during my undergrad in applied health. And then they've grown. So it is emotional wellness,
Yeah.
social wellness,
Yeah.
professional wellness,
Mhm.
environmental wellness,
Mhm.
spiritual wellness.
I actually saw it. I looked you up last night.
Well, there
Actually
you
saw
go.
it. Yeah.
Financial, physical, and psychological. So it
Yeah.
was very fun seeing that they were the same, but
Yeah.
different language, the same results. And that's
Yeah.
really what it's about, is trying the
Yeah.
different ones on and seeing which one fits for you and
Yeah.
makes the most sense that you're making the healthy choices.
I'm glad you never became a dietitian because they're trained to make hospital diets, and the hospital diets are awful for health. And on your own feet, being independent, there's a huge amount that you can do.
Being preventative cannot
But
be as preventative.
preventative is not far enough yet. They have disease management. Then they have disease prevention. Where's health? Can't we just aim for health? So then what is health? What are the components? What are the principles? How do I put that together? Because if you carrot, you're never gonna have to run from a stick.
I like it.
It's a way better life.
Thank
Makes sense.
you.
All right. Thanks, Autumn.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I am your host, Autumn Carter, a certified life coach dedicated to empowering individuals to rediscover their identity, find balance amidst chaos, strengthen relationships, and pursue their dreams. My goal is to help people thrive in every aspect of their lives. I hope today's discussion inspired you and offered valuable insights. Stay engaged with our wellness community by signing up for my newsletter at wellnessinEverySeason.com/free resources. When you join, you'll have the option to receive a 5-day guide called Awaken and Unwind. 5 days to mastering your mornings and evenings, along with free guides, special offers on my programs, practical tips, personal stories, and much more, all related to wellness, by signing up for both offers on the page. Don't miss out on these valuable resources designed to help you thrive in every area of wellness. Join today and start your journey to wellness in every season. Your shares, subscriptions, and reviews help us reach more people seeking empowerment. So please spread the word about our podcast and about our newsletter. Thank you for being a part of our podcast community. I look forward to continuing our conversation, sharing stories, and exploring wellness in all of its aspects. Take care until our next episode. You can also work with me one-on-one or on demand through one of my programs by visiting wellnessinEverySeason.com/programs. One last thing to cover the show legally: I am a certified life coach giving general advice. So think of this more as a self-help book. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so this podcast shouldn't be taken as a replacement for professional guidance. from a doctor or therapist. If you want personal one-on-one coaching from a certified life and parenting coach, go to my website, wellnessineveryseason.com. That's where you can get personalized coaching from me for you. See you in next week's episode.